So today I thought I would just spend a couple minutes talking about some interesting business approaches that were developed by Trader Joe's, specifically Joe Colomb, who was the founder of the business. And these come from the book Becoming Trader Joe, which is an excellent read, if I must say. And I'll leave a link down below if you'd like to check that out. And I also did a full podcast on this book. I'll leave a link for that too if you'd like to listen to all the details. But for today, I've just extracted some of the highlights from the book, and I just wanted to cover them here. So Trader Joe's was originally started as Pronto Markets. Joe had a chain of about 6 or 7 of these convenience stores. And in 1967, he would change the name to Trader Joe's. And this was primarily done as a response to 7-Eleven coming to California. He would change his focus and he would open his first store in Pasadena, California. And Joe needed a way to differentiate himself. He had a lot of different products that he was carrying, and he really emphasized product knowledge, especially in the area of wine and foods. And this is quite different than a lot of traditional supermarkets. He really trained his buyers and all of the people that worked in his store to know the products so that when people came to the store, they could be well educated about the things they were selling. And that made a huge difference in building up a nice base of loyal customers who knew that they could go get high quality products from Joe. In addition, he also started to focus on private label products as it offered unique items like vintage dated canned corn, unfiltered apple cider vinegar, and handmade tamales, just as a few examples. And as Joe grew the business, he would eventually focus more and more on private label products. He felt that he could bring the consumer a higher quality value through private labels. As you and I spoke about a couple episodes ago on this short podcast, Trader Joe, he had a really big focus on paying employees well, and he emphasized paying employees high wages along with benefits. And this really allowed the employees to feel engaged and connected to the business. And what he saw is that he had almost no churn. He never had to hire people. As a matter of fact, he had a long list of people waiting for jobs. He didn't see employee theft. Now, if we jump back to products real quick, Joe also focused on a limited number of SKUs. A lot of supermarkets, they just load everything up. You might find a ketchup in a 4, an 8, a 12, and a 16-ounce size. What Joe would do is he would just look for the ketchup that would sell the most, and then he would go with that particular SKU. So maybe ketchup in the 16-ounce size. He normally found the larger sizes were better. And that's just one example. So he would take that approach with all products throughout the store, and they would just have a low number of SKUs that had an outstanding price and an outstanding value. Now, another thing that I found interesting is that Joe didn't allow any direct store deliveries from suppliers. He developed this centralized warehouse distribution system where all of the suppliers would just deliver to those warehouses, and then he had trucks distribute to his stores. And one of the reasons he did this was that local suppliers would come and drop stuff off at the store, but a lot of times they might carry merchandise out the back end, so that is theft. And then in addition, you don't know who's coming to your store, so he had concerns around safety. Whereas if everything goes to a centralized distribution facility, and then he has guys driving trucks that he knows, those guys become part of his family, and he has familiar faces coming into the store, delivering products and goods, and he basically eliminates a lot of theft, and he has a high level of safety simply by eliminating direct store deliveries. Now, Joe would take a different approach on advertising. He had developed this flyer called the Fearless Flyer, and this would be mailed out. It was a newsletter, and it wasn't used as a hard sale. It was more used as an educational tool to educate customers about new products that they were having coming into the store. Based upon that, it really helped them gain a cult-like following. People would get these newsletters and they would be excited about the products that were in the newsletters or various recipes. You know, they could come to the store and get all the ingredients. and a lot of those things they could only find at Trader Joe's. So this was really a way to get people warmed up and ready to come to the store, seeking out those items that were made available. And then around this, Joe also had a customer centric philosophy. And this was really done based upon the quality of the things that he was carrying, the value that it offered, and a unique shopping experience. And then I'll also add that he saw a lot of customers that would come into his stores because they were familiar with the employees that work there. The employees were becoming friends with the customers. So, they knew their dogs' names and where they went for vacation and what they were doing for Christmas. It was really more of a family atmosphere that really brought the customers back time and time again. So his heavy focus on a customer-centric philosophy. And then the last item here that I found interesting was cultural branding. So this kind of ties in with having unique products, appealing to your customer base, where they could come to your store and find something unique that they couldn't get anywhere else. And this also would go into their Fearless Flyer as creative branding. And they would name products like Trader Giotto's for their Italian brand, Trader Jose's for Mexican brand, Trader Joseon for their Japanese brands. And they would do that to appeal to a wide range of diverse customers. So you have this really nice base of diverse customers that are coming to your store, and you're just building up this nice connection with these customers through your employees that are well educated in the high value and the high quality that you bring. Then I'll just close down here this mini episode by saying that this was reflected in the sales. At the time of the writing of this book, Trader Joe said that his sales per square foot in the stores were around $1,000, whereas the traditional supermarket was somewhere around $500, $550 per square foot. This actually put Trader Joe's into a category of their own where they were doing more than double of a traditional supermarket. In fact, out of all the supermarkets nationwide, they were number one in sales per square foot. So I think these interesting business approaches by Joe Colomb certainly put them at the top of the marketplace when it comes to supermarkets and maybe a lot of other businesses as well. If you get a chance, I'd highly recommend picking up this book. It's quite interesting. It's full of facts and full of useful things that you can put into play in your business. Thanks for listening. Until next time, make it a beautiful day in the neighborhood, my friend.